Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of the greatest movie news show in the entire galaxy. My name is humbly Mark Ellis, and today on Collider Movie Talk, boy, do we have a lot of stuff to get to. We have a huge announcement we're going to be making about Collider Video coming up very shortly, but before that, we have some breaking news, and I'm thrilled to be joined by my dear friends here at the panel. First of all, Natasha Martinez's opening act is sitting over there in the corner, the director of studio operations, Mr. Dennis Zhang. Big day, buddy.
Yes, a lot of things to talk about. Though I'm actually not going to be here. I'm just going to be here for Indiana Jones and then the announcement. And
What? Indiana
What?
Oh my God! I got to quickly introduce everybody else. We also have the director of development, Mr. Kristian Harloff.
I just got spoiled. I didn't look at the title of the video.
And we have another director here. That would be the one, the only, Mr. Jon Schnepp.
Indiana what? As long as they bring back Mutt Jones, man, I can't wait. I can taste it.
Could you not party poop this just yet? We haven't even announced to the kids, but we are about to. Our breaking news is that we just got confirmation from Disney that there will be an Indiana Jones 5 starring some young buck named Harrison Ford reprising his role as the iconic Whip Slayer. And Steven Spielberg will be directing the film. It comes out in the summer of 2019. Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall will be producing. We were literally in our pre-production meeting and we got this news and we said, well, I guess we know what we're opening the show with. So, gentlemen, Kristian, I'm going to throw it to you first because you and I have loved the first three Indiana Jones movies, and we sat through the fourth one together and we left the theater thinking, but that was something. Are we happy that we're finally getting another Indiana Jones movie in 2019?
Yes, but it just depends on how they're going to do it. Remember, Harrison Ford is going to be around 80 years old when this movie comes out, or when they shoot this movie, which is fine. It just depends on how they're going to present us Indiana Jones. What I've been hoping for a very long time, anytime the mention of a possible Indiana Jones comes up, the way I think that they should do it in order to continue this franchise down the line for many years to come, is to do what they did in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade when the late River Phoenix was in the beginning of that movie, that flashback of how young Indiana Jones was. But what you do is you have kind of a back and forth, almost what they're doing with that horrible-ass year one for Die Hard. But you do that formula could actually work for Indiana Jones, is where you set up Harrison Ford in one last adventure and throw back now to whoever the brand new Indiana Jones, whether it's a Chris Pratt or a Bradley Cooper or whoever the brand new Indiana Jones is. That way you introduce us by still having him pass the torch in a way that's not like you were joking before, Mutt, because they tried to do that in the last one. It failed miserably. It didn't work. Don't even bring in Shia LaBeouf anymore. Let's just have a standalone adventure. But I love the possibility. I think it's going to be a mulligan from the last one, almost what Rocky Balboa did for Rocky V. So I'm very excited for the news. I just hope it's handled correctly.
And facts being what they are, Harrison Ford is not going to be 80 years old. He'll be a spry 78 when they film it. Dennis, your take on this news this morning?
I'm excited for it, but with Kristian, I agree with you. Not only is it the way they should go, I think it's the only way they can go. I mean, what else are you going to do? You're not going to set up a new character like they did with Mutt and go with that, because with what Schnepp was saying is like, you want to see Indiana Jones fight Nazis. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to go further on. We don't want to see him or whatever the new character is carry on and be the new Indiana Jones and later on use like cell phones and computers and all that stuff. We want it back in the day. So I think this is the only way to go.
It's very hard to retcon all the stuff that happened in Indiana Jones 4 because we dealt with aliens by the end of that. It wasn't just that we went to the 50s. There was a goddamn spaceship that took off at the end of that movie. It's like, that's a lot of stuff to get through. And Schnepp, we were at the pre-production meeting. When you hear Indiana Jones, you naturally get excited. You get that tingly feeling on your skin. And then you kind of quieted everybody's enthusiasm down just a little bit because you don't seem to be as high on this.
Dun, 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 dun. You know what? Honestly, I love Indiana Jones. I love the first three movies. And the Crystal Skull, that came out in 2008. And now in 2019, they basically, the press release was exactly the same press release that they released in 2008. They're back again. We've got them together. You've been waiting for this. And then we saw it. It was a horrible film. Shia LaBeouf and a bunch of weird little monkeys with like greaser hair. You know, it was like so dumb. It's hard to even remember. I remember just hating it. So if Indiana Jones, the fifth one that they're going to do, I agree with both of you guys. Indiana Jones fighting Nazis, doing that serialized kind of thing. That's what was the inspiration. But, you know, if they wanted to get weird and have Indiana Jones just take place in the 70s and like have some peace, love, he's in a van with Mutt, everyone's stoned. No, that would be horrible. So yeah, hopefully they do what you guys are saying.
And look, I'm an eternal optimist when it comes to these things, so I'm also very excited to hear on its ear that Indiana Jones is coming back. We have a good production team in place. Harrison Ford is the guy who should be playing Indiana Jones, passing the torch to a new generation. Steven Spielberg directing. The name nobody has brought up yet is George Lucas. Is George Lucas going to be involved in this at all? I know that he sold the rights to Star Wars to Disney. Is there any way that Steven Spielberg even talks to George Lucas, kicks around story point ideas? Because that was a lot of the criticism fell on Lucas's shoulders for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because it was his story that he wanted Spielberg to direct. And Spielberg himself has even said that, look, I really wanted to direct the movie that George had in his mind, so that's why we got Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I'm not blaming George Lucas solely for that failure, but you got to think, what is the team in place that's writing this script? Because we know we have talent in front of and behind the camera. What is on paper that the actors are saying that the director is cueing?
I think there's a big difference now, because back when they did Crystal Skull, you had to listen to everything George Lucas said. So remember, Frank Darabont had a script out there that apparently everyone loved. Harrison Ford loved it, Spielberg loved it, and George Lucas did not, and he poo-pooed the whole thing, and then it went away.
Well, they basically just took parts of 3 different scripts and pasted them together.
Right, so that went away. So the question as far as will Spielberg consult Lucas and talk to Lucas, I think the answer will be yes. They're friends. They're good buddies. Yeah. It would be an insult if he doesn't call him to talk to him about it. Now, the difference is that they don't have to listen to Lucas when he says, "Oh, can we put more monkeys flying from the trees?" Like, no, thanks for the suggestion, George, but no.
Get in the fridge.
Yeah,
and then blow it up.
Can we have a shot of gophers just looking? That's going to be
aliens at the end, and it's a big crystal skull.
Now Spielberg and the crew can say, "Thanks for the suggestion, George, but no," as where they had to say yes before. So I think that there's going to be some more changes. I would love to hear Frank Darabont come back to do this. That would be amazing.
That's right. I mean, look, we don't know many more details other than what we already reported to you. We just got the press release this morning, but I think it's safe to say that we know Indiana Jones is coming back to theaters eventually, and I can't wait to go on Twitter and kick around all these ideas for what you name an Indiana Jones movie when he's almost 80 years old and he's still throwing around that whip.
What do you guys think it's going to be called? Quick, Dennis. Indiana Jones and
the anti-Phantom Menace version. I think they will learn from the mistakes they made with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, much like how Disney learned off the mistakes of the prequels, and I think that's why I'm a little more excited. And with what you're talking about, doing that way where they can have a flashback and introduce a new one taking over the role.
Sorry, I forget. It was prairie dogs, not gophers.
Indiana Jones and the Rise of the Pharaohs.
Yeah.
I would go with Indiana Jones and the Murder, She Wrote, because he's probably watching that show from whatever retirement home Indiana Jones has finally been checked into. Well, we also said that we have some big announcements about Collider Video, and we're going to give those to you right now. There's a reason why we're joined by Dennis Zhang today, and it's not just to talk Indiana Jones. You guys have heard us whispering, rumbling, hinting at our brand new show called TV Talk, and we finally have the premiere date in place. Dennis, when can the fans watch this new weekly TV show?
Yes, so Collider TV Talk will be debuting Monday, March 21st. So that's the next Monday. We're going to have it. We're going to air it at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Kristian, why don't you give us about who's going to actually be on this show?
All right, so as far as who's going to be on this show and covering all the latest in TV news, and Dennis will go into the format in just a little bit. So, leading off the very similar way that what I do for Jedi Council and what Jon Schnepp does for Heroes, running this every week will be Josh McCouga. That's right, you know the wild man. He has been on many recap shows. You might know him from Schmoes. You might know him from his show Between the Sheets. He is a TV connoisseur. This guy is the perfect person to host this show. We're very excited to have him as part of the Collider team. Next, joining him every week is my cohort on Rebels, and that's David Griffin. David Griffin is another TV video game junkie, but this guy knows his TV. He's been on many recap shows. He is one of the best guys that we've had on this show from the AMC days. Very excited to have him. And making her triumphant return every week, Sinead DeFries is back. Very happy to have Sinead. Yay. She will be with the guys every single week, counting down all the latest and greatest in the world of TV, and we'll have rotating guests. And to have our first 2 guests, that's right, 2 guests on this show. It was very hard to get these 2, but we were able to do it.
The schedules probably didn't line up. It was hard.
Dennis Zhang and Mark Ellis debuting.
Oh my God.
Yes. So
when are you guys going to send the car for me to pick me up? So I can get,
you
get
live
to
here.
the
You live here.
Just
now,
drive it around the block.
Yeah.
Dennis, as far as the TV talk, what can the fans expect? Like, why are we doing TV talk with the news? Is there a lot of it? Like, what's the reason we're doing this?
Yeah, it's something I've been thinking about for a long time. Way even back in the AMC days. I know you've been talking about.
Yeah.
It's just television has changed over the last decade or so, where it's become a lot bigger, more cinematic. You have a lot of movie stars coming to television now, and if you look and watch the trades like Variety or The Hollywood Reporter, you see so much television news coming out. We have the casting of Iron Fist for the Netflix series. We have the Game of Thrones trailer. We have Daredevil season 2 coming up this weekend. We have so much we can talk about. And I know people in Mailbag and on our show, sometimes they ask us Twitter TV questions. We're like, sorry, this is movie talk. We can't talk about that. So we're creating this show for the fans that want to hear about the television news, the TV shows. And if it's successful, we may, turn it to like twice a week or 3 times a week, depending on, if you guys really enjoy it and we get a good reception on it. Maybe we'll be doing it daily. Who knows? The format's going to be very similar to Movie Talk. We're going to have news topics. We're going to talk about the different shows, little pilot episode reviews. We'll also have a mailbag just for television. Just a lot of different segments, rotating segments every week.
Yeah, that's where it really comes down to you guys as well too, because you have been asking for a TV talk for so long. Make sure you check out the show on Monday. Give your thoughts. What do you want to see? What do you want to hear more of? Really chime in. We've been listening to everything you guys have been saying. Thank you so much, and we're very excited about this show.
And I'll tell you guys this. I mean, look, Dennis and Kristian have worked their nips off on this show. I mean, the director of studio operations and the director of development, those titles look nice on business cards. They earned them making this show. I'm lucky enough to be sitting in the meetings, and I can tell you guys, this show is going to be great. It's a TV show, but it airs right here on Collider Video TV Talk. Catch it this Monday at 5:30 PST. That's 8:30 for you East Coasters. And if you're somewhere else around the world, you can figure it out. And now, with all that out of the way, we actually are kicking off Movie Talk proper with our first story of the week. And joining us is Natasha Martinez.
Woohoo! Sorry, Dennis. I had to kick you off. All right. Back in 2013, Robert Downey Jr. was reported saying that he would possibly hang up the armor for Iron Man once he turned 50, then turn right around and sign on for Captain America Civil War and both parts of Avengers Infinity War. But what fans really wanted to know was if he would return for an Iron Man 4. Speaking with USA Today about Civil War, the topic of Iron Man 4 came up with Downey Jr. saying, "I don't think that's in the cards. In a way, it's Cap 3, but for me, it's like my little Iron Man 4. And then it's back to the thing we all recognize. Everything pulls over to the side of the road when the thunder of an Avengers thing comes through, but that's how it is until it changes, if it changes." Mark, thoughts on Robert Downey Jr.'s comments on Iron Man 4?
They're what I would expect to hear from Robert Downey Jr. at this point when you're talking about Civil War being released not too far from now, and then you obviously have the specter of Infinity War Part 1 and 2 looming on the horizon in 2018 and 2019 Parts 1 and 2. So I don't think this is just necessarily a play like what we talked about with Chris Terrio as far as him maybe not wanting to write Justice League 2. And you got to wonder, is this them just, we're going to back up the truck, Robert, right? It's like, we're just waiting. That's what the truck sounds like. It's got a pile of money in it. You can live the rest of your life like you're Scrooge McDuck on DuckTales. Or is Robert Downey Jr. saying, look, I'm really just tired of being Iron Man. I don't know that there's any more stories that I need to tell. The other possibility in these comments is maybe he's playing around with us as to what the fate of Iron Man is going to be in Civil War. So look, Robert Downey Jr., he even teased before this that he's probably done with the character as far as making standalone movies. Schnepp, you hear this news, you hear this statement from Robert Downey Jr. Do you think we're done with Iron Man, or do you think we're going to see Robert Downey Jr. in an Iron Man 4?
$78 million. I think you'll see Iron Man 4, 5, and 6. You know what? Wouldn't it be weird if in Civil War Iron Man and Captain America both died? That's not going to happen.
They just run into each other with a head-on
They just
collision.
both punched each other. Their necks broke. It was weird.
Within the first 30 seconds of the movie.
Yeah, the very first. Everything else is all a dream. All that footage you saw happened early.
Right.
I would love to see Robert Downey Jr. stick around and be Iron Man until he's 60. He's awesome. He adds that flavor. And I think what he's saying, if it happens, when it happens, thunder, this and that, Look, he likes to be part of a team. The Avengers is a great team. It keeps his face in the public eye. He can do smaller movies like The Judge. You can keep sprinkling him, doing all these other kinds of films that he wants to do, and he'll maintain his status quo as like relevance, as far as in the blockbuster world by being Iron Man. Personally, I'd like to see him stay on as Iron Man. I think he'll be done by Infinity War, but that's my guess.
Kristian, you've worked in the studio system. You have good buddies that are good buddies with Robert Downey Jr. What do you think about his future as Iron Man?
As his future as Iron Man, I think he'll be around for a little bit. I just don't think we're going to get an Iron Man 4, at least not for a long time. I don't think it's in the cards, not just for him. I don't think it's in the cards for Marvel. I don't think they want to do an Iron Man 4. I think that what he said was accurate, where this movie, Civil War, is kind of like a mini Iron Man 4 because he has a big thing to do in this movie. He's like this. He's the second lead in the film in a Captain America movie. So I think this is kind of Iron Man 4, to be honest with you. And I don't necessarily think we need it because it becomes a little like one of the main things. I know a lot of people had problems with Iron Man 3, but one of the things with Iron Man 3 was that question that you kept getting. It's like, well, where are the other Avengers? Where is everybody? I think that Marvel's sick of that. I think that's why another reason they did Civil War, because no one's going to be saying that during this movie because everyone's in the damn
They're
thing.
all showing up.
They're all in it. So I think that, and as we move closer to Infinity War, we don't know the fate, like you guys are saying, of Tony Stark. We don't know. This whole thing from Iron Man 1 until now has had an arc. The arc, I think, is going to be done by Infinity War. Now, whether or not that means he's going to die or he hangs it up or whatever it might be, or there's a brand new Iron Man. Now, I'm not saying there's not going to be an Iron Man 4 ever. Right. I just don't know if it's going to be with Robert Downey Jr.
Well,
Iron Man 4 ever.
Even the numbering system, that they kind of ended that with Iron Man 3. All the rest of these sequels are like subtitles.
Right.
Like Captain America Civil War. They're not calling it Captain America 3.
Right.
So if they do another Iron Man 4, it'll be called something different.
Yeah, and I think that when we had the privilege of being at the El Capitan, it was probably over a year ago now, when they introduced their slate for upcoming movies. Kevin Feige was out there, and we had all these movies coming up. Then we heard about Infinity War Part 1 and 2 in 2018 and 2019. I think we all in the back of our minds assumed that that's probably the end of the run for at least most of these Avengers, or at least the actors playing these Avengers in their current form. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But enough about Marvel movies. There's a DC movie coming up right around the corner. Let's talk about that one.
Deadline is reporting that the advanced ticket sales for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice is currently outpacing the Avengers, Furious 7, and Deadpool, which has sold as many as $25 million worth of tickets, a similar figure close to The Dark Knight Rises, which opened with over $160 million in 2012. Deadline also estimates that it will debut with at least $140 million domestic and upwards of $340 million globally, with the trade cautioning that those numbers are very early numbers, which will likely change drastically over the next few weeks. Schnepp, what do you think of the advanced ticket sales for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice?
Yeah, I think they're just going to keep going up and up and up as more people are like, oh, wait, we could buy tickets now, and realize everything is going to be sold out on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Everyone's going to just gobble up those tickets. They're going to open up more theaters. More tickets are going to get sold. We were talking about, what is it going to make over opening weekend? All of us are like kind of chiming in. At least I'm chiming in. It's over 200 million opening weekend. It seems like it's going to easily do that.
I'm not betting against you anymore.
I'm just saying, it's like, everyone just, it's like, it's almost like you wake up and you're like eating breakfast. Like, I wonder what's happening with Batman v Superman, because there's a relentless amount of trailers and photos, especially if you live here in Hollywood, California. You're like, everywhere you look, there's a Batman v Superman. I don't even sandwich here. It's Batman. I can't. What's happening? I might as well see the movie, and I was planning on seeing it anyway.
I love how cocky the Oracle known as Schnepp is now, because he made his prediction and he just kind of was just, they made 200 million. He's not even declaring it like he did with Deadpool. I think it's going to be around 200 million. I think it's going to be like 200.0001 million, because look, I just do not trust tracking numbers anymore. This past year in 2015 was proof that they just don't know how to track movies as well as they used to be able to. You used to be able to take it to the bank. Oh, this movie looks like it's going to make this, and it was pretty accurate. And then you have movies like the Fast and Furious movie or Jurassic Park or even Star Wars. Nobody could anticipate how much money these movies were going to do, particularly when it comes to an opening weekend. So I think $140 million is really low, and I wouldn't, if I'm a Batman v Superman fan and I can't wait to see this movie, so I would be disappointed with that number. Kristian, what do you think it's going to make right now, and do you believe this report that it could be adding to some steam as we get to the release?
Definitely adding to some steam, because we've been saying this since the beginning. Batman and Superman are the two most iconic superheroes of all time, and now they are fighting each other for the most part. We see that. We're curious about it, and you're also coming off of a Man of Steel movie. I really enjoyed the film. I think you really enjoyed it.
I loved it.
And I think that there's some people who thought it was okay.
Yeah, it was okay.
But it did well, and it also proved that Henry Cavill's a damn good Superman, and that's our Superman now, and he's fighting against a brand new Batman, which is fine. And I think people are super excited to see that, and that's why the anticipation is getting higher and higher. But the number, and I do this every time, and I'm going to keep doing it because I'm stupid. I think 170. I'm not gonna. I don't think it's gonna. Maybe it's 175. I don't, and which is a big number. I just think the 2.5 hours is going to lessen the amount of theaters. That it's like, was it 240, 230?
It's like 230. Yeah,
but
just
you're
over
right.
230.
That's usually like chops off an hour of another film that could be playing.
That's the only reason why, and I just think it's in less theaters than other movies that have made the 200 plus. But I'm not. It's you here. So if you say it's going to make 400 million, then it probably
Did you see what he did with your prediction? He's like, yeah, it's cute that you got close to what was actually going to be right.
It's like when you're sitting at the table with a guy and you see the tracking numbers and it's at 140 and you go, yeah, like 165, 170, and this guy goes, yeah, I'll make 700 million, and it makes 700 million.
He's Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I'm taking him to Vegas.
1986. I mean, I'm looking at the message boards right now too. We want to know, what is your guys' number? Go ahead and throw it in there right now. Comment on this vid. Let us know. Obviously, we want your take on Indiana Jones. Is it going to be an Iron Man 4? But I want to know what your number is going to be. Do you think the Oracle known as Schnepp is right? Do you think Kristian, who by his own admission called himself stupid not 2 seconds ago, do you think he's right?
I'd like to address something that someone had said in the comments too. They said, well, you keep mentioning the time length. Star Wars was an equal length. I think Star Wars, and I think that you brought this up maybe on Mailbag, it's the generation thing too. I think there's like, I know my mother who wanted to see Star Wars, not interested in Batman v Superman. I think that the generations are maybe more pulled towards Star Wars because of how many years it's been around. Not that Batman and Superman haven't been around for a very long time, but as far as a film franchise, and this is a brand new thing, it's a little darker too. It's not as family. That's kind of what I would say. But like I said, I could be dead wrong, and this thing could beat Star Wars, but that's just kind of my rationale between the two.
What's weird, Kristian's mom, not a Batman fan, hardcore Spawn fan. I don't know how
that's
that
true.
happened. What's our next story, Natasha?
Don't go to hell.
Sony released the first red band trailer for Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg's R-rated animated comedy Sausage Party, with a work print also debuting at this year's South by Southwest. And the Disney Pixar send up a Disney Pixar movie. Sausage Party follows a group of hot dogs coming to understand the truth about where they eventually end up when they go from the market to a human's home. Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg wrote and directed the movie, enlisting the talent of Oscar-winning Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast composer Alan Menken for the original music, with voices of Rogen, Jonah Hill, James Franco, Kristen Wiig, Edward Norton, and Paul Rudd along for the ride. It will come to theaters August 12th. Kristian, what do you think of the new trailer for Sausage Party?
Loved it. Laughed out loud watching this thing like I have not in a very long time. We did a trailer reaction to it. Natasha and Wendy did a reaction and review to it, which
Yes.
I think will be up pretty soon. Man, I had heard this movie. They've been talking about this movie for like 10 years, a very long time. It's been development, and it finally, the first trailer and the red band trailer, that thing with the potato and the Saving Private Ryan thing at the end, I'm dying at that. It's clever. They throw the F-bombs in there in a way that it doesn't feel forced. I think Seth Rogen has the perfect voice to voice a hot dog or a sausage, whatever the hell it's. A Kristen Wiig has the buns, and then just even the what was the Indian guy what was he?
Peyote.
Yeah, was that what he was? Was he peyote?
There was peyote
Maybe
there.
it was mushrooms or
Whatever,
tobacco. I don't know what
when
kind
he's
of
just like,
sauce.
oh yeah, well, fuck me. It's like the way it was really, really clever, really funny. If you have not watched it, I promise you there are a lot of great laughs in it. I mean, that potato thing.
It was,
holy
what was
crap.
fun is I had watched it and laughed in the same spots that you watched it, but you hadn't seen it yet. And
Yeah.
You're like, oh, what's this thing? Go ahead and watch it. And so I watched him watching it, and then he was like, when the potato thing happens, he was like, ah, just like
Dying.
just real laughter. So
Yeah.
that was really fun.
Yeah, I mean, this trailer did exactly what I wanted an opening salvo kind of thing to do, where, look, it's going to have a good good story. It's going to need for us to care about these characters somewhat to laugh, even if these jokes are ridiculous for 90 minutes. But this trailer, man, just shocking us. Just doing that bait and switch where it just looks like a clever Disney movie. I didn't realize, as Natasha said, that like the Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast composer were doing music for this. When you see them in the supermarket, you feel like it's just, oh, these are just
so
cute
happy.
little, oh, I'm rooting for them, man. What kind of adventure we going on today, kids? And then it just goes horribly wrong for that poor potato. Seeing that reveal and then realizing you're in for an entirely different adventure. This is one of the things, like, I don't usually send you to the movie theater to go see a trailer, okay? I have done it in the past, but not usually. This is one of those ones where if you're going to be sitting watching an R-rated comedy, maybe they run it during Deadpool or something like that, or Batman versus Superman. All of those fanboys are going to be like, oh, what is this? It's just a kid's movie. And then the turn happens. People are going to be howling. This trailer review is already, it's about to be up.
Oh, yeah.
When we had Natasha and Wendy Lee do it for Collider Video. What was your take on the Sausage Party trailer?
Wendy and I were just cracking up, like audibly laughing out loud. I especially loved the baby carrots, the poor baby carrots.
Poor baby carrots.
They're eating children.
It was so great. And the Twinkie, who I thought had a pretty similar resemblance to Donald Trump with that little tuft of hair. That was great. I loved like all of the jokes. And it's funny because, you know, normally I'm not really drawn to these type of movies, but watching this trailer, I was like, I have to see this. I love animated features. I'm super excited. And yeah, the part where in the spaghetti, I think it's like spaghetti, is like spilling. It's like,
I had to see it a second time because I had missed that. And they were like, you didn't see it. It was like the Private Ryan thing. Yeah, I kind of got that. But then it's like everything about that, even with the effed up like Oreo, he's trying to put himself back together, dust everywhere. Just a fantastic first trailer for this film. I'm really excited to see it. I want more food violence. I can't wait to see that. You know?
I mean, look, we're all excited for this trailer. You can catch the Schmoes reaction on our YouTube channel. You can catch Natasha and Wendy's reaction on the Collider YouTube video. And Kristian and I also did a review/reaction for Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. That trailer also dropped this morning. So if you guys want to see our take on that, head over to Collider Video. It's already up. Have a blast, of course, after you're done watching us on Movie Talk, because now it's time for one of my favorite segments, Buy or Sell. Natasha is going to give us an item in the world of movie news, and we're going to say whether we buy it or sell it, then defend our argument to the death.
Variety is reporting that straight outta Compton's Jason Mitchell and Boyhood star Ellis Coltrane have both joined the upcoming Barack Obama film Barry. The movie will begin shooting later this month and will cover Obama's early college days in New York City. Vikram Gandhi is directing from a script by best-selling author Adam Mansbach. Mark, buy or sell this new cast for the young Obama movie?
It's a big buy for me, man. This is a project I was not aware was actually happening, and Jason Mitchell's one of those guys that really came on my radar when I saw Straight Outta Compton. I thought he should have gotten consideration, if not a nomination, for Best Supporting Actor. He was that good as Eazy-E. And so you look at Boyhood star Ellis Coltrane in there as well. I'm very excited about this movie all the time. Seems like the right time to be making a young Obama movie because he's leaving the office, and maybe with whoever who's coming in, we want to remember the glory days of Obama for the past 8 years. So I think this is a great play. Schnepp, you see the cast. Are you buying?
I think it's a great cast. I'm buying it. I wish we could have a third term, one of the coolest presidents we've ever had, Obama. It's like, it's sad to see him go, so at least it'll be good to get his past right and his the memory of Obama set into a film right. Maybe like people keep saying like Trump keeps saying, hey, he's from Kenya. It's like maybe he'll wake up and realize some reality when you see the films.
I don't think that's going to be a possibility. I even love the title of this movie, Kristian, because it's called Barry, and that's just it's hinting at that this is before the guy who became this impressive political figure that we know now. It's him growing up and kind of getting his wits about him in New York City. You're from New York. Is this going to be a good movie?
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty cool. I mean, the fact that Jason Mitchell's getting another shot at doing something big. The guy was so good. I think a lot of people thought he was maybe kind of looked over at the Academy Awards. And Ellis Coltrane, we haven't heard anything from him since really Boyhood. Not that he hasn't been working, but nothing, no high profile. And this is a way to do it. I'm curious to how this movie is going to portray Obama. I'm curious to what they're going to explore. So yeah, I like the cast. If we're buying the cast, yeah, absolutely. Big buy.
All right, let's head over to Cloverfield Lane.
Director of 10 Cloverfield Lane, Dan Trachtenberg, sat down with Slash Film recently to discuss his directing duties on the Cloverfield sequel, when talk led to his work on the Why Last Man adaptation with creator Brian K. Vaughan for New Line Cinema. Trachtenberg revealed that he and Vaughan worked extensively on a script, but could never crack the story. The rights soon dried up, and now Vaughan has the property back in his possession and is looking to turn Why the Last Man into into a television series. Schnepp, buy or sell Trachtenberg's comments on the Y Last Man adaptation?
I guess, I could buy that he said that, but I sell the reason why. That they couldn't crack the story. It was a written story. It's issues 1 through 66. There's a beginning, middle, and end. How hard is that to crack? I just don't understand that. I think they had a script. It was a lot harder. I think Shia LaBeouf was attached to play the lead character for a long time, and it just probably had money issues. Cracking the story, I always hate hearing that because it's not hard to crack. It's already cracked. It's been printed, and just read it,
Yeah, which is why I would buy it from the perspective that they probably couldn't crack the story in a way that was conducive to a budgetary concern that whatever studio making it had, when that's not going to be a problem with a smaller movie like 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is what Trachtenberg went on to go do. So, look, I accept that they were working on it. It does sound like a very intriguing project, and maybe it is better suited for television. Like you said, Schnepp, it has a beginning, middle, and end, but there's a lot of issues in there. You can really explore some stuff. So if you do it as a TV series, might be the way to do it. Then maybe the cast from TV Talk will cover it one of these days.
Well, I'm glad you brought up it as it would work better as a television series anyway.
Sure.
I'm very happy that Preacher, they stopped trying to make that as a movie and they're doing it as a television series, because if you've read the comics, it lends itself to it's a great story because it has a great beginning, middle, and end. And when comics do that, no matter how long they do their run, you hear about 100 bullets. That was like 100 issues. It's just like they do comics, they begin, middle, and end. That's the best way to do it as a television series. So hopefully they do that.
I tell you, I buy the comments kind of big time because of what he said. New Line. And New Line has made some good stuff in the past, but recently, track record hasn't been great. Now, there's subdivision now, Warner Brothers, but the majority of stuff that they've been doing has been okay. And we just had that report from Joseph Gordon-Levitt who said New Line didn't know what they were doing with the project, so he left. They weren't bringing it was hard for them basically to crack the story because there was one particular way it should go, and I think it's probably the same thing that happened here, is that New Line wanted to go in one direction with it. Okay, we wanted to do this, and then Vaughn's like, well, no, that should go this way, and hence not cracking the story, I think, is really what he was talking about. Right. And I agree with both of you guys. This is a Netflix or Hulu Plus or Amazon series. It is a great, it lends itself for so much more than just a 2-hour movie. So I loved reading this story. I remember someone had suggested it years ago, and I was like, okay, and I couldn't put it down. So yeah, I think that a TV series, absolutely. Whether or not, I think that it's probably because of Daredevil is another reason why that Vaughn was probably like, you know what, I'm going to go do something else. I'll find somebody else to do this. There's a lot more options now than he had 5-10 years ago, maybe when he sold the rights for a film. So it's probably easier to walk away from the table of a feature film now because, again, 10 years ago, TV's on. You're like, I don't want it to go to network because they're not really going to know what they're going to do in network. It's going to be a hard shot to get it to HBO. There's so many options to bring the real vision to it.
Now we can crack the story. We can crack our final buy or sell.
Richard Linklater's spiritual sequel to Dazed and Confused, Everybody Wants Some, premiered this past weekend at the South by Southwest Film Festival with a red band trailer dropping yesterday. While Dazed and Confused took place in the 70s, Everybody Wants Some takes its setting in the early 80s, following a group of baseball players navigating their way through the freedom and responsibilities of unsupervised adulthood. The film stars Will Britton, Zoe Dutch, Ryan Anthony Guzman, Tyler Hoechlin, Blake Jenner, Glenn Powell, and Wyatt Russell, that's a hard one, and it will open in theaters on April 15th. Christian, buy or sell the first trailer for Linklater's Everybody Wants Some?
I don't think this is the first trailer. This is
I think that was a teaser, so this would be the first
this is a red
official
band.
trailer.
Yeah, because it's the first teaser that I saw. I didn't like. I thought it looked kind of overly campy, and it didn't look like Dazed and Confused. I buy this trailer. This trailer looks exactly what I was hoping for when I saw that teaser. There were some good laughs. It felt like Dazed and Confused. It almost felt like what JJ did with Force Awakens, where it's like it's an homage almost to
Totally.
because there's those moments. You felt the Matthew McConaughey, then you got the Billy Crudup clone running around in there. This movie to me could be a lot of fun. From the reports that I've been hearing about, I think that it's screened at South by Southwest, and I think people were digging it there. I know Scott Mann says, "You have to see what a fucking movie!" I really liked what we got from this trailer. I like that they're exploring college, getting away from high school. And yeah, I loved it.
This trailer was a huge buy for me both times I watched it. The first time I watched it, I didn't hear any of the dialogue. I just listened to the kick ass Van Halen song, Everybody Wants Some. And then I kissed the ass of the trailer a little bit because it is a really good story that they're telling in here. I feel like I was watching those Dazed and Confused high school kids when they would go to college. This is exactly what they would be doing. So it felt like Dazed and Confused meets Animal House, and it looked hilarious. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to get some laughs out of this, too. You want to get some sort of drama, tug on the heartstrings, maybe a tiny hair, but I want to have fun, man. This is about college baseball players breaking all the rules. I love the dichotomy of the coach coming in there, telling them exactly what you're not supposed to be doing, and then juxtaposing that with them breaking the rules that the college baseball coach had just presented them. I loved everything about this trailer, not the least of which was the music. Schnepp, everybody wants some. Do you want some,
This
too?
is us. We're drinking beer. We're doing that right now. That's what we're doing. We're drinking beer. Yeah, I absolutely buy this trailer. It looks like a lot of fun. Looks like a lot of real memories. I cannot wait to see it. This is Richard Linklater playing in his wheelhouse that he does so well. I literally saw Dazed and Confused again like 2 weeks ago.
Such a great movie.
It holds up. It's so much fun. And then to see this trailer right after seeing that, I was like, wow, I cannot wait to see this movie. It looks like so much fun and so like what it was like to be in college in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of drinking beer, please drink responsibly. In this movie, Christian and I have a bet that every time a Van Halen song happens in a movie, he used to chug a beer on our live show, The Schmoes No Show.
I should have to charge a keg for this one because it's like the title of the film.
You might want to bring a pony keg with you. Well, we might as well jump to our next segment. That is going to be opening this week, brought to you by our friends over at AMC Theaters. Natasha, what's coming out in the movies this week?
Miracles from Heaven, opening Wednesday, March 16th. Anna Beam, played by Kylie Rogers, lives with a rare incurable disorder that leaves her unable to digest food. Despite the dire diagnosis, devoted mom Christy, played by Jennifer Gardner, relentlessly searches for a way to save her beloved daughter. Everything changes in an instant when Anna tells an amazing story of a visit to heaven after surviving a headlong tumble into a tree. Her family and doctors become even more baffled when the young girl begins to show signs of recovering from her fatal condition. Also opening this week, Midnight Special, opening Friday, March 18th. In this cryptic sci-fi adventure from writer-director Jeff Nichols, Roy, played by Michael Shannon, rescues his son Alton, played by Jaden Lee Herber, from a religious cult in Texas whose members worship the boy for his supernatural powers. Along with a state trooper played by Joel Egerton, the pair go to a cross-country journey as they are hunted by federal agents who believe Alton might be a threat to national security. Kristen Dunst, Adam Driver, and Sam Shepard co-star.
Well, look, Miracles from Heaven sounds like an uplifting tale, and I'm sure it's going to be very powerful once you see the movie. I'm not that aware of it. I am very aware of Midnight Special. That's one that I'm most looking forward to coming out this weekend, simply because the talent involved. Jeff Nichols is the guy who's done smaller movies, a lot of those with Michael Shannon. I loved what Jeff Nichols did when he directed Mud, and seeing that cast, not just Michael Shannon, but you also have, like Natasha said, Adam Driver. Adam Driver plays a guy looking for a kid with special powers. It's like Kylo Ren is now here on Earth, and he's searching for some kid. It's got like an E.T. feel. It's got like a Close Encounters of the Third Kind feel. Some X-Men thrown in there. What is so special about this kid? I want to see the scope of his powers. Is it like Chronicle, where he's a superhero? We're trying to contain him. There's so much that's unknown about Midnight Special. The trailers did a great job of showing us what some of the story was, giving us shades without telling us everything that was going to happen. Christian, are you seeing Midnight Special with me?
Yeah, watch this. So I have two screenings today that I'm supposed to see. At 5 o'clock is Midnight Special, and then at 7 o'clock, which I'll never make in time, is Insurgent, Allegiant, God bless you, whatever it's called. Yeah, that. Now the question is me going, well, Midnight Special. I know that it's gonna be like going to the doctor's office to see Allegiant, but. It's the wide release, and I know everyone's going to start yelling at me right now. Don't see it. Go see Midnight Special. And I have to decide. I could probably go see Allegiant later on, but I really want to see Midnight Special. This is not even a question as far as what I want to see. This movie. Look at that cast with Joel Edgerton, Michael Shannon. You got the director of Mud and Adam Driver. This is the movie I want to see. I just made up my mind. Screw you, Allegiant.
No, wait. Look, here's the thing. As a professional, you got to think about this because these are press screenings.
Yeah, I just thought about it.
I'm seeing Hardcore Harry tonight at 7. I'm excited to see that one too. Okay, so I'm going to see that one. I'm going to see Midnight Special because that's a movie that I'm happy to give my hard-earned money to. Okay, you want to give your hard-earned money to Midnight Special, not to Allegiant when you go see it. So it's something to consider.
Yeah, I just want to know who Hardcore Harry is. It scares me.
Yeah, that's the pornography that's available.
I'm Hardcore Harry. See my brother Henry. Have you seen Hardcore Alice? I'm looking for
Hangs
her.
out with the Hendersons. It's a weird family.
Well,
Schnepp, what do you wanna see?
I want to see Midnight Special. I don't want to see Detergent or whatever the other one's called. But yeah, and I'm going basically just from seeing the trailer. I saw it like I guess maybe 4 months ago. Really mysterious trailer. Michael Shannon with his kid. His eyes are glowing or whatever. There's an explosion. I'm like, what is this? It looked really fun. You're right. Close Encounters, E.T. It had that flavor to it. And Nichols is a good director, so I'm really excited to see that film opening this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, look, Hardcore Henry is a film that I also want to see. We'll talk about that later coming up this week. But yeah, Midnight Special is one that's at the top of my radar. Well, it is usually that time for Mailbag. Before we get to Mailbag, we have some breaking news over at Kristian's Harloff desk. What do you got? Is it more Indiana Jones stuff?
Well, close, not really. So thank you again. This is why I love looking at the live chat, because you guys just informed me that the short list for Han Solo, it's narrowed down between 3 actors. The 3 actors that this is from the Hollywood Reporter, by the way. So Alden Ehrenreich, which I definitely didn't get his name right, who did he kicked ass in Hail Caesar, was one of the best parts in that movie. He's up for it. Jack Renner, who's known for his work in Transformers: Age of Extinction, that's not a credit. Come on, I actually like the kid, but that wasn't the best thing. And Taron Egerton, the start of Kingsman and Eddie the Eagle. The sources say that there could be a few other names on the list due to the high level of secrecy. Right. It's hard to get all the names, blah, blah, blah.
Those are the ones that leaked out.
Yeah. I'm just saying. And it's not a matter of saying, I told you so. But
you do like to do.
But yes, but not this time. Even like about 3 or 4 months ago, before any of the names came out, I said Taron Egerton is going to be the guy. And I still think he's going to be the guy because from what I heard months ago, Lord and Miller love this dude. I think that they went through the process to see if anybody else was going to get it, but I think he is the guy. I think that you can, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I really feel that Taron Egerton, especially after seeing Eddie the Eagle, not because it's anywhere close to Han Solo, but the chops are there for the 3 things that I've seen this kid in with the Kingsman, obviously, where he can definitely pull the Han Soloisms out of. But then you get what he did in Legend, small part, but still. It had an impact, and then Eddie the Eagle. He's a star. This is a great role for him. I think he's going to get it.
Well, you know, one of the stars of Everybody Wants Some, Blake Jenner, was also up for that role. Initially, Han Solo was he was on that short list too, so maybe he didn't get it. Maybe he's still in the running. But either way, don't worry. If you don't book the role of Han Solo, just go right next door. They're looking for young Indiana Jones probably soon, so go ahead and throw your hat in that ring. Schnepp, anybody here stand out to you?
Well, the actor's name from Hail Caesar, he's the guy who played the cowboy, right?
Yeah, he was great.
I just saw Hail Caesar last night, and he was like kind of the standout of a very uneven and kind of disappointing film for the Coen brothers. I hate to say that. I was looking forward to it. But he was amazing in it, so I'm glad that he's on the short list because we were like, man, that guy popped out of nowhere, and he was really fantastic.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I need to see more of a sample size before I believe that guy can play Han Solo, even though he was terrific in Hail Caesar. But yeah, Taron Egerton is a guy where it's like, he may not exactly look like Harrison Ford, but he's got that personality, man. He's got acting chops.
Look, and to be fair, like, yes, the guy I want to see is Taron Egerton, but if these guys, both these dudes, are on the short list now and have gone through all the rounds, and Disney has been casting correctly. Lucasfilm has been casting well. So if they think that they see, so the answer is we don't necessarily have to see for us to be proven because if they see it and they know how important it is to cast Han Solo. They are very aware that this is going to be a make or break casting here, and these guys are probably the 3 best right now.
Honestly, I think the Hail Caesar guy edges out Taron Egerton just by a little for myself.
Really? I mean, but are you basing that off of the performance from seeing him
just
last
from seeing
night?
Him from his ability to go back and forth with that character. So it's like,
interesting. Okay.
Look, either way, they're not casting out of the park, like you said, Kristian, but they've never had a tougher challenge than casting a young Han Solo. Totally. That is a daunting task. I don't know if that guy's out there anywhere. Okay, well, it is time for Mailbag. Now, before we get to Mailbag, I want to let you guys know we're going to try our damnedest to get to some of your live Twitter questions at the end of this show, so you can tweet us right now. Natasha is our gatekeeper. Tweet us at Collider Video. If you want to get your question read on the air in email form, email us. collidervideo@gmail.com is the correct address on the information superhighway. What's first up in the Mailbag?
Gary writes, I heard that Mr. Schnepp had a 2-week fear of the water after seeing the original Jaws film as a kid. But can you all name a film that gives you nightmares, or at least used to? For me, I remember when I saw Aliens as a kid, I couldn't go to sleep with the lights off for ages after fearing the alien lurked in the room, and yet I love that film. Are there movies from when you were younger that kept you up at nights, or maybe there are some more recent ones that gave you restless sleep?
Oh, I can't wait to hear Christian's answer. He's not the biggest fan of horror movies anyway. I'm going to tell you mine right off the bat is I saw Pet Sematary in the theater when I was entirely too young to see that movie. I wasn't freaked out by Church the Cat. I wasn't creeped out by any of those things. There's a maybe not that necessary side plot of that movie that involves the wife and the sister that she had growing up. And my God, Zelda, I'm coming to twist your spine. You'll never walk again. Oh my God, it is the scariest thing I've seen to this day. And The Nun in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 always gave me nightmares. It wasn't anything Freddy Krueger was doing, because by that point he was pretty much working funny bones on the side. But The Nun in Nightmare on Elm Street 3, she's wearing the all-white, the away nun uniform. One of the most terrifying things I've ever seen, just because she's just standing there looking at you. And I always thought that could pop out in the corner of my room at any time. Christian, what do you got?
Pennywise. That got me. Pennywise got me for sure.
Are you not a clown guy?
No, I am. I don't mind clowns. It's just that Timothy Curry's portrayal. That face, the way he would just kind of. It was so creepy. That's a meme.
That's hardcore Harry right there.
So Harry, come on into my van. And what the other one was the first Nightmare on Elm Street with the arms. The guy's haunting you in your dreams. So those were the two. And I'll be honest. I think it was Paranormal Activity 3. We went to a screening, and I lived in my old place. And I remember, and these things don't usually creep me out because it's just like they're so lazy normally, these movies. But there was something about that movie. I think I've told this story before, but I got into my garage and I heard something. I'm like, fuck this, and I just ran out of the garage, just left the door open in there, just got out. I go, if the battery runs out and anything, it doesn't matter. I think I broke a coffee mug.
Yeah, that Toby Demon is not a fun guy to wrestle with when you live in a place by yourself. That oscillating fan trick they did in Part 3, that's a pretty sweet maneuver. Schnepp, what do you got besides the obvious job?
When I was a little kid, a TV movie that came on was called Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, and Guillermo del Toro recently remade it, which it wasn't as scary as the original one, for me at least. As a little kid, these little goblin creatures that dragged this girl into the cellar.
He produced that, right?
Well, the new version, but the original one he didn't. It was just a TV movie. But I used to torture my sister, like Sally. They would, say that stuff. But it creeped me out too. But I was able to transfer my fear of it and torture my sister with it. Nightmare on Elm Street was another one. I saw it when I was in high school, and it just affected me. It gave me nightmares because it was about a weird, creepy, freakish dude who murders you in your dreams. So like it was maybe not want to go to sleep. Like, is there something like that? It was really fun. I love horror films. I loved Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I love all those of The Thing. I just remember seeing films like that. They really get you going. I love having nightmares. I gotta say, one of the more original ones that I saw recently was The Conjuring. I thought that was a really good. Really scary film that like just had a really nice slow build, and it just kept ratcheting up. So it was very satisfying.
It's a weird thing. We can't explain why we love horror. It's like eating Taco Bell. We know we're going to regret it afterwards, but in the moment, it just feels so good. Natasha, is there a movie when you were a child that really, really scared you, that you just had so nightmares you couldn't get over it?
Here it comes.
I mean, there might have been one that we've talked about recently.
Ouch.
Definitely E.T. for sure, but a couple
What
of the
scared
other
you
ones.
about
She
it?
hates E.T.
He's just so
Are you working for the
ugly.
government? Or you want to do research on him? You want to cut him open?
No, definitely not. I would not want to cut that open at all. But Signs really freaks me out.
Good one.
That one was really scary. I definitely had to turn on all the lights in any like hallways.
Keep a lot of water near you.
Yeah. And another one was The Grudge, which I find is pretty funny now because when I watch it, I'm like, this movie is not scary. But back in the day, that terrified
When
me
that
for
kid
sure.
does the mouth to the...
Yeah, a little floating blue kid.
Yeah.
The
and
cat
Signs,
kid.
man. The birthday party and Signs when you just see the...
Real quick walk.
Yeah.
Signs is so scary.
Very terrifying stuff. All right, let's get that out of my head with our last mailbag question.
Zach Feineman writes, hey guys, love the show. It's the best part of my day at work. I have an important question that could affect Batman v Superman. Now that the Ultimate Schmodown is back and opening the same day as Batman v Superman, do you think that the main event of John versus Dan is going to impact opening day numbers for Batman v Superman?
Well,
Thanks.
Zach, I can appreciate your question, but I think you asked it in the wrong order. It's not whether that's going to impact Batman versus Superman, because the main event here is John Campea versus Dan Murrow in the movie trivia Schmodown. So it's just a matter of whether this little Batman versus Superman movie coming out is going to in any way affect the numbers, the draw, that first day of people watching the madness, the mayhem that ensues when we debut the movie Trivia Schmodown. Kristian, what's the latest poll at? What are the kids saying? Who's winning that match?
Okay, so this was a crazy. But if you guys didn't know that we did this on the Schmoes Twitter, we tweeted out who do you think would win between Dangerous Dan Murrell and John La Cosa Nostra Campia, and it was the closest poll ever. It ended at 50% with over 5,000 or 6,000.
50-50.
50-50 right now. So the reason we asked that poll was because we wanted to see who would be the underdog, who would come in first, who would come in second. And these guys are smack talking each other. Like last night, Campia sent like a Conor McGregor tweet to Murrell, and Murrell responded. The Screen Junkies are really getting into it. It's a lot of fun, but they're getting heated. You got that match that's coming up, and it's coming up soon. And you guys, it's a split out there. Like, who you think is going to win? As far as it impacting Superman numbers, it's going to be a nice snack right before you watch Superman.
I wouldn't be surprised if Batman versus Superman jumps release dates to a couple weeks back because they don't want to get in the way of Campia versus Murrell. Who do you got winning that?
Well, remember, guys, it's a Campia v. Murrell.
Right.
Just
No,
like
right,
Batman
right.
v. Superman. It's a court trial date to be determined. I cannot wait. I'm going to put the weird white wig on and have a lot of gavel stuff. I don't know. Who do I think's going to win? Undecided.
You know, and the one thing to know is that, and if you guys are brand new and you don't know what's happening with it, there's going to be rankings. We have a reigning champion who is Mark Riley right now, standing at 4-0.
Right.
And
unbeatable.
There'll be a
Riley.
way to knock out your opponents, meaning that if you have more points than them in the second round, that if they don't get into the third round, you mathematically eliminate them. It will be considered a knockout.
Right.
But I will tell you that the winner of Campia versus Dan Murrell plays the winner of Scott Mance versus Roca, and the winner of that will get a title shot.
It is going to be nothing but March Madness coming up next Friday. Make sure you guys tune in for that. The matchup is going to be epic. Natasha, I told everybody we'd do live Twitter questions. I think we can do two. I think we got room for two quick ones. What do we got first?
Okay, Roshan asks, hey Collider Video, what are the chances of an R-rated MCU movie featuring Daredevil and Punisher after the success of Deadpool?
Oh, man. You know what? I want everybody to go watch Daredevil 2 on Netflix this weekend just to show Marvel how much you love this stuff. And maybe we would get some sort of R-rated movie in or outside of the MCU starring the Punisher again. I want him to get one more shot at the big screen, but having said that, I think Jon Bernthal looks like the Punisher we've all been waiting for.
Totally.
And the fact that he's on Netflix is just fine with me because I pay my bill each and every month, and I'm waiting to see something like that. I don't care if it's on a big screen or if it's in the comfort of my own home or my computer. I just want to see the Punisher kick ass the way he always did in the comic books. Schnepp, are we ever going to get an R-rated movie in the MCU? Maybe it's the Punisher and Daredevil.
You might, maybe it could be like a Where Monsters Dwell, more of like using Morbius and Ghost Rider, some of the monster creatures from the
Vampire versus a guy with his head on fire.
You know, and that's where I'd see it. But you know, honestly, me and Riley just saw the Daredevil season 2, the final trailer. We got a reaction if you want to see us sweat it out. But it's like, I'm very excited about Jon Bernthal as the Punisher. He's the John Romita Jr. Punisher that I love. I think it's super as violent as I need it to be. I know Netflix aren't really rated, but it's like to see 13 hours of a Punisher series, if they do that, way better than to seeing a 2-hour movie. I don't care about that. I'd rather them do a Punisher Netflix series.
Kristian, you're a big R-rated guy. You love your violence. You want it hardcore. We're going to get one in the MCU.
Ever in the MCU, I agree with Schnepp. I think that we might get a Marvel rated R film down the line. I don't think it's a priority for them. As far as Daredevil and Punisher, no, I don't think so. I think that they like being the dominant force in Netflix right now. I think that they're very happy with what they're doing right now. I think there's also two different divisions, as where Feige and then I forget the guy who's running the TV.
Jeff Loeb.
Is it? So there are two different sides right now. So I think that the whole point of why they split is I don't think they were seeing eye to eye. I don't see that coming to fruition.
Well, so Ike Perlmutter was more in charge of everything, and then they kind of split.
They kind of split it. So
you
you have the TV side, you have the movie side. So no, I don't think it's going to happen.
I hear Perlmutter's also in charge of how many free sodas the press gets when they go to screenings. Natasha, one more Twitter question.
Alexander Burton asks, can Suicide Squad beat the August opening weekend record of $94 million currently being held by Guardians of the Galaxy?
Ooh, man, that's a tall number. Suicide Squad. Now, look, there were rumors that it was going to debut preview at South by Southwest. I don't know if that's happening or if they're just doing a cool viral marketing campaign for that demographic, but Suicide Squad, if it's marketed right, and some of this is predicated on how successful Batman versus Superman is, I think Suicide Squad has the best shot I've seen to overtake the August all-time box office champ that is Guardians of the Galaxy. It's going to be tough to do. It's not going to be an easy feat. Suicide Squad does have a lot going for it. It's bad guys going after even badder guys. It's going to have that feel, that dark, gritty tone, but also going to have some light humor to it. I think it's going to appeal to a lot of people that want to know what it is. The fact that Joker is in it, the fact that Batman's going to be popping in there certainly helps sell that movie. Will Smith is in the movie. He's no stranger to doing well in the summer. It's got a shot. Even as I'm talking about it now, I think I can talk myself into it breaking Guardians' record. What do you think?
No, I don't think it can. I think because
okay, well, I tried.
I don't think it's as far as when you look at it, I don't think it's pitched as being as fun as Guardians, and I think that that's going to kind of cut back on some of the audience as well too. And it's not a familiar Joker yet, so yes, the Joker will help some, but it also might hurt some. I don't know what this is yet. I don't know. They're not a lot. There's one big, huge movie star in it, but other than that, and he's not even the lead guy. Really, he's part of the ensemble. So, I'm not saying I'm very excited for this movie, and I think it's going to do very well. But as far as breaking that movie, and it's also not. It's also part of a budding DC universe to where Marvel was pretty damn established by the time Guardians came around, and they had that marketing machine able to really push because they've had all these big successful movies. So I think it'll do very well, but I don't think it'll break Guardians.
Well, unfortunately, nobody cares what the hell we think because they just want to go right to the Oracle. What's it making opening weekend?
Yeah, it's going to break over 100. The reason I'm saying that, is it depends on how Batman v Superman does.
That's a great point.
I think Batman v Superman is going to do really well, but it kind of depends on how the fans react to it. We already have seen the Suicide Squad trailers, which when they first put those first couple out were actually a little bit more fun to see than the Batman v Superman because it was all new stuff from DC, and that's why I kind of liked it a little bit better, the first trailers, where it was like, well, we know Batman, we've seen Batman now. I think Ben Affleck is a great Batman, but seeing the Suicide Squad, seeing these different characters, we have DC Universe so far, it's been nothing almost. There's no continuity, and this is the second film that'll have continuity. It's going to have Batman in it, so it is predicated by how well Batman v Superman does. I think Batman v Superman is going to, hopefully, I haven't seen the film yet, but I'm hoping that it is in the same vein as Man of Steel, but pluses it as opposed to minuses it.
Right.
So we've got that world going. Wonder Woman's already being shot. It's almost done with principal photography. I mean, we'll see a trailer for Wonder Woman probably around the time of Suicide Squad. So all those things adding up, I'm sure we'll get to see at least 2 more Suicide Squad trailers before its release. So we'll see know a little bit more about the film. But if it has that feel, to be honest, it has that Deadpool feel to me. So as far as like it's an unknown, so it's one of those things that especially for fans who have like already seen Superman, Batman, Iron Man, Captain America, this is something where we don't know what we're going to go see, but it's exciting. So I think that excitement, if they do it well and they do a viral marketing campaign, hire those people who did Deadpool, get on that, you know what I mean? Get a marketing campaign that can actually help your film so that when you see the film, it's better than you expected. So with that in mind, I think it'll do well.
Schnepp mentioned Man of Steel a few times in that too, and I forgot to mention earlier, we are finally doing, you guys have spoken, we've asked about the commentaries, what we're going to do first. We're going to do Jedi, or do you want to see us do Man of Steel before Batman v Superman? We are going to do the commentary for Man of Steel. We're going to try to get that up, Dennis, maybe tomorrow or Thursday. So look for that. Most likely, we're going to try to get it up there by tomorrow night, but most likely Thursday. So take a look. We'll get the commentary of Man of Steel. It'll be myself, Mark, Schnepp, and John Campia will be doing the Man of Steel commentary. Look for it.
Can't wait to see what Superman does with all 5 lines of dialogue he has in that movie. Well, that'll do it for a very jam-packed episode of Movie Talk. We had breaking news, big announcements. We had ass-kissing Hardcore Harry and Christian's creepy clown face. Thank you guys for joining us and celebrating the big week that's going to be next week with TV Talk and the Movie Trivia Schmodown making their debuts. I want to thank everybody here that helped contribute to the show today. Way back there, we got Adam, we got Jonathan, Wendy, Dennis, and Mark, and the gentleman and the lady here with me at the table. First of all, Mr. Jon Schnepp, where can the kids find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, just at Jon Schnepp. Check out my Kickstarter, Sweaties Unite. Let's find out about what's going on with comic books.
kickstart that hard. Christian, what do you got?
Don't call me a lady. At Kristian Harloff on both Twitter and Instagram. We got Jedi Council, which will be myself, John, and Mark. Tiffany will be out this week, but make sure you hashtag Collider Jedi Council. Get your questions out there. And like Mark mentioned, we're going to do something for you guys. So keep checking the Schmoes Twitter, because these polls that we're doing with the Schmodown, we're going to start doing something on the Schmodown to where either Natasha or Ashley will be reading out your tweets for the match. So we'll have a full segment of, so Natasha, what are the fans saying about Campia versus Merle? All you guys need to do is hashtag Schmodown. Chime in on Campia versus Merle. Chime in on Mance versus Roca, or Jon Schnepp versus Finstock, or Sam Levine versus Hal Rudnick. There's a lot of matches that you guys can chime in on, and your voices will be heard on the Schmodown.
Read by our very own, possibly, Natasha Martinez. Where can the kids find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at NatashaLexis_.
And make sure you guys check out AMCtheaters.com. That's the website to go for all the latest box office and Showtime information. Make sure you guys go to Collider.com. That's the website where we get a lot of our movie news, and you should too. Bookmark it right now. And of course, subscribe to Collider Video here on YouTube, as well as Christian and I's movie channel, Schmoes Know. As for me, my name is Mark Ellis, and I'll be at the Comedy Store in Southern California this Saturday night. They even gave me my own promo code. It's fittingly Schmoes. Go to the link that I'm about to tweet and come see me do stand-up comedy live. You can get tickets at markellislive.com. That's it for us. We're going to go take a nap. See y'all tomorrow.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.